Now, also, it's sort of difficult for me to ask this, but these days conspiracy theories are running rampant on the internet, and I thought you could, metaphorically speaking, take the bull by the horns and, let me ask you confront you with or ask you what these people are saying. First of all, they say that you are the secret ruler of the world. What is your response to that?
Well, in the first place, you're not the first person who has raised this issue. There have been people ever since I've had any kind of position in the world who have accused me of being a ruler of the world. I have to say, I think for the large part, I would have to decide to describe them as crackpots. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever and isn't true and won't be true. And to raise it as a serious issue seems to me to be irresponsible.
Now, you see, that's what happens when you ask a question directly like that, okay? That's the sort of answer you're going to get. Are you the secret ruler of the world? You say, well, no, okay? So, later you'll see why you have to take a more indirect route to get the same response in a different way. So, for now, if you ask the man directly, he's going to deny everything. That's why you have to get a little bit more sneaky, as we shall see. And what about the candidate Ron Paul, who's talking about bringing the powers of the Federal Reserve back to the U.S. government, under the presidential control or control of Congress?
I haven't read about that. Is that an issue?
But he's one of the Republican.
He's a Republican candidate, and that's what he's publicly calling for. So
I would not look upon that as one of the great issues that needs to be addressed at this time.
When you ask about Ron Paul, you got to look at his face and see, the look, right? It's like, what? And it's like, is this true? Like, why haven't you dealt with this? But it's clear that he's so far removed from what's happening that he doesn't even know that Ron Paul exists or is out to take the Fed back. That's how far above the clouds this man thinks he is, or is insulated by his coterie. The source of his power is under threat, and they don't even tell him. And anyway, it's the look on his face that tells you the true story. What do you think the great issues are?
Running our own country better and having our own country play a more balanced and effective role in the world.
Okay. And what's wrong now with the way it's running, the U.S. government? I mean,
you mean wrong with our country, or?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that is needed is the fact that I don't think enough people in high positions in our country accept the importance of our world role with sufficient gravity. I mean, in other words, I think the tendency, because of politics and getting elected, is to stress local issues, and of course they are important, but I would like to see more of the leaders of our country spend more time in traveling, for one thing, getting to know the world, and studying history. To me, one of the sad things about our country is that our leadership, to a greater extent than I would like, is more concerned about very domestic issues than they are about our relations in the world.
In this particular case, I have to agree. there's a joke going around in the world. What do you call somebody who speaks 3 languages? Trilingual. What do you call someone who speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. And what do you call someone who speaks 1 language? American. You guys are going to be left behind if you don't sort of take a look at the world. Okay, the world is passing you by. You're going to become irrelevant unless you keep up. You're going to lose to people who speak 2 or 3 languages and know 2 or 3 cultures. That's a warning. He's right on the mark that one at that time, I'm afraid to say. You guys are not the center of the world anymore. And the sooner you figure that out, the better it is for everybody.
Now, what about the plunging dollar and the rising euro, and the apparently Asian countries have been unloading their U.S. Treasury holdings? Are you worried about the economic situation now?
Well, I think that that has to be related to the problems within our own country, and in the that one's reading about in the papers today, that there's grave concern about what our role should be, how it should be handled, and how we should better manage our own domestic economy. And I think this is becoming a serious issue that is going to have to be addressed by any politicians who wish to be re-elected, that they have to see that the issue of our economy and what influences it is better understood and more successfully addressed.
He looked quite worried when he talked about the collapsing dollar, and there's a good reason for that. The face value of all the dollars in the world is 10 times greater than the value of the U.S. economy. The Asian countries are saying, we're not going to use your dollars anymore if you keep going around killing people. And we're not going to support an army that's just attacking us. So this is your weak spot. This is your Achilles heel. And it's being attacked by the Asians. And that's no coincidence.
You'll be meeting the Emperor, is that correct?
I'm looking forward to that.
What will you be talking about?
That will certainly, to a large extent, be his decision. My impression is that emperors tend to lead conversations. I have had the good fortune and privilege of meeting him a number of times before. I would hope we would have a chance to talk a little bit about his views of the world and how he feels our country is relating to Japan. But also our family has had quite close relations with Japan for many years and with the royal family. So my suspicion and even hope is that we might also talk about those relationships in the past and where they might go in the future.
Japanese newspapers have talked about this weekend about an imminent fundamental change in U.S.-Japan security relations. Have you heard anything about this?
I don't think so, really. And it's not an issue that I would think the emperor would want to discuss with me. I mean, I can't imagine that would be one of the things we talk about. I don't think it would be appropriate.
Right. And your nephew, Jay, he studied in Japan, didn't he?
He spent 3 years here.
And do you have good relations with him? Some Japanese people are telling me that you had some sort of fight, but again, I don't know.
No idea what they're talking about. We have very close, loving family relations. I don't know what.
All right. Well, again, this is just what people have told me. I don't know. That's why I'm trying to confirm it. Now,
I don't think they knew what they were talking about.
Now, which issue do you think is more important now, the war on terror or global warming?
There are two major issues, both of which have to be addressed. They're very separate, and I think the way we deal with them